We
What's
are
going on, Dalila?
we are live. Hey Marcus, how are you?
I'm good. What's going on? Welcome back to
Welcome back.
both of us.
What's with that cup? Look at the
Oh my God. All right. So, I mean, anybody out west ways,
yes.
outside Florida. Actually, they're in Florida now. This is Bucky's. And I've
Okay.
got a thing. I've got like a real peculiarity with coffee mugs since I'm a big coffee drinker. But aside from just like the practical side of actually making a good cup of coffee, I've got like a real like I don't know fixation on like a particular size and color of coffee cup. So I collect 16 ounce. I think this is 12 or 16. I think it's 12 ounces maybe. Coffee
Okay.
cup, always white, and it's got to be something memorable from my life. I have a bunch of Marketwise ones. And I picked up a Bucky's one when I was out in Texas visiting a client. So memorable too. But it says, you know,
Coffee mugs is your thing.
it's the
Nice.
Bucky's. It's the Bucky's thing, but it says on the backside it's a beaver. So
Oh,
people don't know what the Bucky's.
yeah,
You've been to Bucky's, haven't you?
yeah. Here in Florida,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. It's an experience. It's like going
Oh
to a
yeah.
museum.
I think I just went. I was with my friend. We were driving to a conference out in
Huh?
San Antonio recently, and we stopped. I think he said it was the biggest Buc-ee's in the world. I mean, it was like
That's
100 gas pumps and like the biggest indoor space possible. So that's what I'm rocking today.
okay. Well, nice. Well, welcome to another episode of Marketwise Radio. And this is number five, numero cinco.
Five, big five, yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping the podcast train rolling. I know a lot of people do podcasts, and we're just trying to keep our perspective interesting. You know, I'm not one to mince words about pretty much anything. So we're looking at a wild world of developments. And actually today, the thing we want to talk about is I had a whole list of stuff. I actually did. I had this whole written out
Okay.
thing. And then the more I look at it, I'm like, man, everybody's getting news about all of this stuff.
Mhm.
That's not like so we're gonna go more off of conversation you were witness to at ICE, right? And
Yeah.
I would say that it's just the basis to talk about a bunch of other things, which the second you brought it up, I'm just like, oh my God, this is so
Yeah.
relevant, so interesting, and way more interesting than foreclosure rates. I don't want to talk about that.
No. It was interesting. Yes, I attended the ICE Mortgage Technology Conference in Las Vegas. It has become my biggest conference of the year as far as not only the attendee, like the attendance, it is very heavy attended, um, but the amount of sessions and topics and overall just whole vibe of conference is on another level for me in my personal opinion, right? And obviously technology has made its way now into our space, homeownership space, whether for me, I represent a lot of mortgage and lenders and realtors, and you're on the appraisal side, right? So now we have technology that is incorporated into our day to day, whether it's the actual streamlined process of a mortgage loan, the technology
Hmm.
on the appraisal side or an inspection. I mean, for goodness sakes, it's a lot. And the hot topic or buzzword was AI. AI. And my media partner, Michael Hammond, he hosted a panel, and I forgot the name of the actual session, and it was about AI. And one of the conversations that came up on this panel was um humans are still the ones training AI or putting the information for the AI to obviously make an ultimate decision, right? But of course, right away when they're talking about this, because these are making decisions, right? These engines are making decisions for whether it be homeownership or insurance, etc.
Hmm.
But an actual person, a human, is training or pouring into this AI decision making tool. So, what if this person, human being, has some biased. So does the
It's
AI
not,
pick it up?
that's, see, to me, and I know what you're trying to do. I know you're trying to be gentle about this, but it's not a what if. It's not what if.
Okay.
We cannot deny as human beings. It's biology. This is human evolution 101. This is human biology
Okay.
101, right?
Okay.
We are built with preconceived biases, right?
Yes.
And it's certainly our job to understand and reduce those. But I think when you brought that up before we started the podcast, right, my head goes immediately to everybody's biased, whether that's
I
your
agree with you.
like
Yeah.
the reason I brought up the coffee mug preference, right? I'm really biased on my coffee mugs, which is a stupid example, but it shows that just like I can't explain why. I can't. I don't even like. I have the same size coffee mugs, and they're different colors. They're
Okay.
blue. They're off white. There's black ones, and for whatever reason, it completely changes the experience of me drinking coffee. So when you start to look at stuff like this, and you can like look at it on a granular level, right? We talk about bias in the decision
Mhm.
making process that could influence an outcome. AI now being brought into the picture, I mean, it is the future. There's
Yes.
no doubt about it being the future. The current iteration of artificial intelligence, I'm not convinced yet that it's like it's capable of making decisions on a mass scale. In our industry, I keep going back to events of the past, right? Like I can't help but think of what happened in 2008, 2009, 2010.
Understood.
That doesn't mean that it's going to be the same thing, but
Mhm.
unless you have a really effective decision-making tool at your disposal, there's a big risk when you apply it to money on a large scale, right? So like uh let's say you take like a hedge fund or derivatives traders on Wall Street, and they're making decisions like it's like algorithm trading. News comes out one day, president's instituting tariffs across the board, very broad, or economic policy, and this is a hot topic now. I'm not saying I have an opinion on it. I truly, I mean, personally speaking, I don't yet. But the stock market reacts very quickly, right? Because there's all these computer models operating on assumptions that we make a decision X based on inputs A, B, and C in the news, right? So
Yep.
they're trained to detect current events that are going on and things, decisions, and announcements that are being made on a large level, and they make trading decisions based on that, right? So in the mortgage world, let's say that AI is now deciding on mortgage applications. I bet in 10 years that's going to be the de facto, there'll be a pretty powerful tool
Yeah.
that it's there's probably going to be some kind of regulatory scrutiny on it. If there isn't, I'd be shocked. I mean, I'd probably bet
I
my left arm on that.
I mean, my left arm is pretty much already spoken for, but
Jesus. All right, so you can bet the right one.
oh,
You
that
bet.
one, the good one, the good one.
Take my
But
strong hand. Sorry, I had to.
no, it's cool. We're homies. We're homies. I agree with you. There will be some kind of policy or something in place in, I don't even think it will take up to a decade. I think it might be actually sooner than what we think because again, it's not just home ownership. Obviously, we saw and are still seeing what's happening in the insurance industry, right? It is now um having people's backs against a wall where unfortunately kind of catastrophic things are happening because of this engine system decision making, you know. So homeownership's a little bit different than life threatening, you know, diseases and stuff like that. However, I can see it having some kind of, how can I say it? Like something will just come from it, and it won't be, unfortunately for us typically, to pivot and make change. It's something bad has to happen. It's kind of how do you agree?
Yeah,
Like, unfortunately, something bad is going to happen, or something's going to have to happen for us to kind of put something in place to move forward still using that. And yes, I'm treading lightly. I don't really.
I know. I'm trying to put into words what I'm thinking, and I grew up during the financial collapse, right? And part of what we do is safeguard our clients from appraisal bias and appraisal issues that could potentially impact them on a large scale, right? Because like we are the linchpin in the decision process that stands between a borrower and a big financial commitment from a
Yeah,
lender, right?
absolutely. Yes.
So in one sense, it's a small part. In the other sense, it's the most important part, aside from actually qualifying somebody's ability to borrow based on credit, based on income, based on employment verification. I have no doubt that in 10 years, it's gonna be a wildly different tech landscape as artificial intelligence as we know it starts to evolve. Because I mean, artificial intelligence is evolving fast, but it's not like Skynet level ability to make decisions yet, because it's not making decisions like us. If we can make it train it to make decisions like a really smart, in economics we always learn the parable of the benevolent dictator. The benevolent dictator is the guy with all economic decision making ability, political decision making ability, and he's got the benevolency of a good ruler in his back pocket, right? So let's take that to the mortgage space. I bet it could probably in a few years start to make some pretty objective decisions on underwriting conditions, loan apps, and things like that. I mean, I know people are doing that already.
Yeah,
Um,
they are.
but are now like this is Marketwise Radio. I know the appraisal space, and I know that after 15-ish years, we're finally getting an updated appraisal form, which is something that we're starting to like train our clients slowly as we get the information, because they just haven't released much on it up until recently. So we're putting together some training material for people right now to understand them and
Okay.
see the implications. But it's still a physical document, and physical digital, but like it's still a document, right? The way that artificial intelligence gets to look at that document, that's probably going to be part of it. But I would probably for the next 5+ years be pretty wary of AI reviewing appraisals and
Oh,
reviewing stuff, because it's only basically when you're looking at an appraisal, you're looking at, let's just say this, right? You're looking at a piece of paper. It's
okay.
it's a very one-dimensional bit of information, because if you have a big appraisal box, you're basically pulling in flood. I mean, you're pulling in uh, mapping, GIS. And the hardest thing to integrate, and we've seen this from a tech perspective, is the comparable data information, which is why appraisers have to go and the actual physical information. It's why the hybrid stuff I don't think really took off. I mean, it was an option during COVID, and desktop
Okay.
appraisals were an option during COVID, but
Fine.
the nuance, like if you're borrowing 60% on an asset, right? You got like a big bit of wiggle room, unless the market drops 40%, the lender's covered. If you're borrowing 95% and the market corrects 10 and the appraiser's off by 10,
You're in the
y-
hole. Yeah, you're in.
yeah, you're underwater. So the hardest thing I think in the appraisal world is like bridging all this stuff together. I mean, you can't make sense of this, but it's like you eventually all of this stuff's going to have to be digitally connected. The hardest part of that's going to be getting the asset side of it, which is the actual appraisal. So the actual inspection and having a trained person out there looking at stuff. I don't know how quickly artificial intelligence is going to be able to pick up on that, because let's say, all right, I mean, like I recently did a home addition project. We
Mhm.
added 800 square feet. I mean, I'm sitting in a brand new kitchen that we added,
Okay.
brand new back walls. Let's say you were to do that. You take a bunch of fix and flip lenders and you start putting lipstick on a pig, so to speak, and you were just to like patch up the house and make it look good. Um, you just could make it look very visually appealing. You could make it look very visually. Hold on, I got to put my thing on Do Not Disturb, just like you did. Um, you can make it look like it's a nice, beautiful home. The problem is, and this is where the human side of the appraisal business is still going to be important
Okay.
until they can really come up with a good solution for this, is there's a lot of hidden problems. FHA is telling people to look for cracks in the foundation,
Yeah.
cracks in the wood, all sorts of stuff, right? I don't know how quickly the tech side is going to be able to replace a human eye on that.
Yeah.
So we start talking about AI, we start talking about its implications in the mortgage business and how effective it could be in solving a lot of problems. I think there's going to be a huge application for it. I think on the appraisal side, things are just, and maybe by design, and I think it should be this way. I think it needs to be a little bit more old school until uh,
Yeah. I
that
would
side of it's really buttoned up.
agree with that as well. That is probably the one, and I'm thinking about it. I've been thinking about it as we go back and forth or hearing you talk. Appraisal and inspection, those are the two where as an investor, as someone who has purchased and currently owns multiple properties, that is
Mm,
one thing where I would opt out of any AI generation, any AI tool, whatever they're using. And maybe it might be that they do, but the consumer has the ability to opt out of it. Because for me, I would never, ever, apart, the appraisal isn't automatic because, obviously that protects a lot more the lender, as well. Like you said, it's a big amount of money here, right? An inspection for me is more for me, and I need human eyes to look at the roof. I need human eyes to go and put a flashlight, whether is in my electric system, the AC, the bathrooms, whatever it is. I need human eyes. I am not, my age could play a part in it. I'm in my mid 40s. I can't feel okay purchasing a $750,000 property with AI generating this inspection report for me. I'm just not comfortable. So even if they do, right, implement something, God willing, in the next few years, I would hope that the consumer still has a opt out. No, I want human eyes on this. That's how I see it. And I would pay for that. I would pay for that.
yeah, I mean, I think there'll be reduced cost options. I
Yeah.
think that so, like in the appraisal world, if you were just to take on paper, right, my house,
Mhm.
I'm in Miami, and on paper, you could take a comp within a mile, and I would tell you that if I were to look at it like I'm drawing it, you guys can't see it. I'm drawing it right here. If I were to take my house as the
Yeah.
center point of a radius of 1 mile, right? So if I were to look mile, north, south, east, and west,
Mhm.
I I'll tell you right now that probably 60+% of that mile radius circle around my house would not be eligible as far as like a comparable property, right? So
Got it.
the human side of the appraisal business is going to, like, because the neighborhoods change so quick.
True.
The neighborhood directly to the south of me has a physical barrier, which is a river. Across that river, the homes are worth significantly less because it's a different city, it's kept up differently. It's
Mhm.
just it's a different look. And if you drove it, you'd understand. But that's
Okay.
why it's so important that we still have people physically looking because on a singular, like if you screw up one value, okay, you know, mud on your face, but you move on, right?
Yeah.
You make the correction or whatever. If you do this now on a broad scale, before any kind of real serious thought and implementations put into play to like make sure that what you're providing is scalable and I mean, I'm just sitting here thinking and pausing because it's just there's so many levels to this, right?
Mhm.
But if it's not unbelievably good and knowledgeable and nuanced. I'm all about the nuance. If it's not that, let's say you make 10,000 lending decisions that are all off by 10%. I mean, you've got serious problems there.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's going to be the case. I'm not, I don't think that's coming. I think that this will probably take time. I think by and large, because I can see it from our vantage point, lenders want to feel more protected. This is why we're converting people off of their direct appraisal management protocols to working through us more than just picking up, competitor AMC share. It's this side of the mortgage space. And the other sides as well. I would say that, if you're a borrower, I probably wouldn't feel comfortable with a language model making a
No.
decision underwriting my loan application, right? Because it doesn't take the human part of it into consideration. There's a
Not
lot of nuances. So microscopically, not a big problem. If you start rolling these things out real broad too fast, which I don't think that they will, but it is an interesting experiment to start thinking about this stuff because it's everybody wants to talk about AI this, AI that, and it's like it's just the technology's in its infancy still.
and also because environment or market plays a huge part. Most lenders want a subject matter expert for that market. You're South Florida or the entire state of Florida.
Hmm.
Obviously, banks partner with you because you are a subject matter expert in Florida. They're an appraiser. I don't see an appraiser being able to do that same type of work, someone who lives in Florida and is familiar with the state versus someone in Montana. Do you know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah.
I'm thinking in my head, whoever is training the AI, wouldn't you think they would have to be a subject matter expert in that market space? Do you
And that,
like
yeah. Oh,
you
yeah, yeah. It will
have
happen. I
someone
mean, there's no doubt in my mind that that's the future. It's
yeah,
just,
like
it's
it just
probably going to take a lot of data to really, because now it's like, okay, I could tell you all about South Florida or Tampa or Orlando or,
yeah,
all the Southeast markets that we serve and how we can rely on our team to make pretty informed decisions based on how those markets have individual nuances, right?
yeah,
Like we were talking to some folks out of New Orleans the other day, and they were telling me all about the difference between some of the historic homes in central New Orleans or
yeah.
Metairie or the North Shore, and every market has its nuance, but to be able to train and extrapolate that stuff out the entire country, it's a much bigger lift. So
It's
it's going to happen. It's just in the meantime I think people are getting a little, even Apple, right? You take your iPhone, just with this last software update that they did to the iPhones, the iOS, whatever, or the
yeah,
iPhone, this new one,
mhm,
they promised that there was going to be Apple Intelligence baked in across the whole thing.
correct,
It's
yes.
vaporware. I mean, it's literally useless right now as it sits.
I don't use it.
I well, because they didn't actually roll it out. I mean, it's the whole idea, and this is just one example, right? But if the biggest and most powerful tech companies on the planet haven't been able to execute it on broad scale very well, I've seen a lot of like little startups talking about AI this, AI that. We can review your appraisals with AI. We can like, and we get propositioned by these real low cost review teams that come out of you know other countries like India and Bangladesh and Pakistan, hey, we can do checklist reviews for your appraisals. But what are they looking for? I could tell them what to look for, but there's like a nuance. I can't go to my clients and say, well, we just use a reviewer
No,
out of India that costs $3 a pop. I mean,
I
no
don't
disrespect
use
to
it.
them. I
Yeah,
get the hustle, but it's bad business, right? So
I
until the tech side of it really catches up, I think the whole mortgage space probably won't be able to adopt it really meaningfully.
and I can see the banks would not be comfortable putting that that's such a big decision, right? That's such a huge, like, potential liability on AI. So you and I are on the same page and we can always go on and on about this subject. But, you guys, thank you for always watching. And if there is a topic or a session that you want Marcus and I to talk on, please feel free to always comment. We're always open to having, some topics thrown out to us.
I got a good one for next time. Don't you
What
worry.
you don't want to put it.
No, 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 no. Just like I like using like real world experiences that I'm having to talk about stuff. This was just coming out of a like next time we record, we're going to talk about this
Yeah.
interesting discussion I had at a round table just recently where I was one of the speakers talking about your relationship with like your tech providers and your software providers and stuff, and just an experience I had, which actually I can speak uh positively on now that I've kind of gone through some of the motions of it all. So we'll do
Yeah.
that next time. We'll be
We'll
back in a couple weeks for episode 6.
And then, of course, you guys, if you have any appraisal needs or questions, feel free to reach out to Marcus. He definitely
Oh
is
yeah.
a subject matter expert. We both live in the state of Florida, so we are Floridians. But we definitely are in the homeownership between Marcus and I. We have decades of experience. So thank you so much for watching another episode of Marketwise Radio.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.